Welcome back, listeners, to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I am Sana. Now, let me tell you, listeners, today's episode it is tender, real, and honestly a little brave. We are talking about grief, not the hashtag kind, the kind that changes your nervous system, your calendar, your friendships, and the way you breathe in a quiet room. And we're holding a big statement up to the light. Suffering is the spur to the growth. More specifically, how a person processing the grief for his daughter, it made him into a better person. And if you're listening while hurting, I just want to say this up front. You don't have to grow on a timeline. You don't have to turn pain into productivity project. You are allowed to simply survive, rather thrive. And listeners, let me tell you about my guest. Well, he describes today himself as a grumpy old man with no sense of humor, which is honestly iconic. He's also retired from 5 professions, including decades as a psychotherapist. These days, his work is helping people build inner strength and contentment. And he prefers not to lecture because apparently effective is 2 letters away from defective. So, Bob, welcome to the show, and it is absolute honor to have you here with us.
Thank you. Now, since this is audio only, your listeners won't see this, so have to imagine I'm greeting you with a gesture of honor.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you so much. I really love the energy here, and I mean this is the real stuff here. So let's begin with
Could I just
yeah.
say something?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a grumpy old man with no sense of humor, but I demonstrate time and again that other people have a sense of humor because they laugh at me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Um. Okay, Bob. So let's begin. First trying to understand better person. Like when you say that processing the grief for my daughter made me a better person. What does better actually mean in measurable terms? Like practically, like how did you change?
Well, I'm not sure that I've changed because I was already well on the way. For, as you said, for decades, I was of service to people in great emotional trouble. And I have the power of healing words, which was given to me. And I have applied those tools to my own bereavement. But generally, when things are perfect, there's no point in changing, is it?
Mm.
You change when things are wrong, and then you have a choice. You can be resentful, why me, not fair, sob, or you can grow from it. And you have choices. And when you make the right choices, you move toward enlightenment.
Mm. I that is I so much agree with you, Bob. I mean, it's a very powerful combination. Um, like it's like emotional leadership, and it also signals you didn't turn grief into sainthood, you turned it into clarity.
Well, one of the tools I describe in my latest book, which is dedicated to my daughter, and the title is The Hole in Your Life, the subtitle Grief and Bereavement. when you've got a certain way along your grief, you want to get something positive out of it.
Yeah.
For example, I had a client who survived an operation removing a tumor from her pituitary gland. And when she came out of rehabilitation, she established an online support group for people with pituitary tumors facing an operation or having survived an operation. For some reason, she didn't make it available to people who died of the operation. It was most remiss of her, wasn't it? So my book is the same kind of thing. To make sense of my loss, I want to be of benefit to people who have suffered well, loss of any kind. So if you want to describe my book in one sentence, it's the book when your world falls apart. It doesn't have to be from death. It could be divorce, loss of your job, natural disaster, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
trauma, whatever it is, or say failing an exam and so missing out on the occupation you'd hoped for, whatever it is, the tools I describe will help you to make sense of your loss and to move, and maybe even benefit from your loss.
Mm. It makes sense, Bob. It makes sense. And um, if it is okay with you, because um I hope to um keep this conversation simple, respectful, and real. Um, because in a way, I believe that we would definitely want your daughter to be honored in the language that especially I use. So if it is okay with you, Bob,
Mhm.
um, would you be comfortable to share a bit about your daughter with our listeners, if it is okay, or else we can skip over it.
Well, the first chapter of my book
Uh-huh.
is a tribute to her, and I have reproduced that chapter, which is publicly available. With all my books, I make the first chapter publicly available. Um, and uh, I haven't. I haven't got the link. If you just, I can look it up. How brilliant is that?
I am there actually on your website.
Oh, no, I can't. Uh, sorry, I haven't got that relevant page open.
No worries.
It's lhpress.com slash griefbook.html. But tell you what, if your listeners do an online search for my blog, which is bobbing around,
Bobbing down, yeah.
uh, bobbing around Dr. Bob Rich, and then when you do the search, type minus AI after it. Do that after every one of your searches, because the artificial intelligence, or it's actually artificial stupidity, uh, that the search engines now automatically use, uh, burn up a hell of a lot of energy and use a great deal of water for cooling. And so they're very bad for the environment. And I'm very strongly a conservationist. And so when you do a search, type minus AI after it. So if you type Dr. Bob Rich bobbing around minus AI, then you'll get the link to my blog bobbing around, and have a look up at my books. There's a list of books from a term on the top,
Yeah.
and one of them is this book, and that'll tell you all about it.
Mm.
But all right, uh, I'm very honored that my three children chose me as their father. And Natalie was well, she still is, just not in a body anymore. an exceptional person. I mean, poor thing shared my sense of humour, but otherwise she was pretty good. Uh, she, at about 2 years of age, she marched up to a pregnant woman, looked up at her and said, "Did you know babies come from women's tummies?" At 4 years of age, she decided she did not want to go to kindergarten anymore. She had to go to school. And she kept pestering us until we used the money we didn't have to send her to a private school for a year. And one of my treasured photographs is the class picture. And there she's at the end of the line, a head shorter than the next one. But she was the best at reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, okay.
And she carried that right through until she graduated with a medal at university.
Mm.
Anyway, you can read all about her when you find my blog.
I did find it, and I'll make sure to put this in the show notes.
Oh, good, wonderful, thank you.
I'll definitely, so that listeners can read about it. Um, I mean, yeah, and Bob, thank you for sharing that. Um, and um, let's because people say that I processed my grief, and it's not just only related to death. As you mentioned, that your book is not just about processing for grief, which is related to death, but it can be any major life changing, like divorce or separation or any professional loss or any kind of loss.
Well,
Or
say you suffer a stroke, or someone you love suffers some serious illness or disability. You know,
yeah,
it doesn't. Well, bereavement is when somebody dies, but grief is much wider. And if you and I had a friendly game of some kind, and you beat me, I might have 10 seconds of "oh,"
yeah,
but probably not. But some people might.
yeah, some people, yes. And I hate to admit that even I have had so many moments like that when I kind of cursed myself, or
Mm.
I have had a lot of judgment about myself. Oh my god, I'm such a big loser here. And yeah, it can be very harmful as well, because
Well, if I may say, the first person you need to love is yourself, in the best sense of the word. You need to respect yourself. Uh, I suffered from depression from at least 5 years of age, partly because of the traumas of my infancy, and partly because I had a very abusive stepfather.
okay.
And in 2007, I found a therapist I could work with, an older lady, a lady even older than I am, and we did age regression hypnosis. That is, she put me in a hypnotic trance and then got me to go back as an adult. And one of the things she said, go back to the earliest memory you remember in this life. And I was a little tiny boy reaching way up high and grabbing the middle finger of a man next to me. And I was also myself, and looking down on this poor little kid and feeling sorry for him because I knew all the suffering he was going to get. And I picked him up, and the little toddler me put his arms around my neck, and both of myself cried. And that kind of exercise is just beautiful for giving you the kind of self-respect that you need.
Yeah.
And one way of putting it is, I used to be an onion. there was this horrible stuff, and I put layer upon layer of competence and achievements and strengths around it. But that horrible stuff was still there in the middle. And one day, I changed it into a pearl. Now, a pearl, there's a little animal in a shell, and some grit gets in, and that's irritating. So it builds a little beautiful, shiny skin around it, and then another one, and the pearl grows. But without that bit of dirt in the first place, that beautiful pearl wouldn't be there. So one day I changed when I was about 43, I changed from an onion into a pearl. And you can do it too.
Hmm. That's beautifully said, Bob. Beautifully said. Um, and um, you know, a bit of a pushback, like directly, like suffering is the spur to growth. I mean, it can sound, and I think this is a huge, huge kind of a there can be debates, there can be very polarizing conversations around this, that suffering is necessary, even valuable. So my question here is, isn't that a dangerous story? Like, we are we are trying to romanticize pain here.
Well, we don't go out deliberately cutting our nose off to suffer.
Yeah.
The Buddha said, all life is suffering. That's the first of the Four Noble Truths. So if you are in a situation that you don't want something, you want it to go away, want it to stop, then you're suffering. If you're in a situation that you really, really like, and you want it to last forever, and there is no forever, all things are change, then you're suffering because you know it's going to end. So the way to stop suffering is to not be attached to escaping the bad and not be attached to continue the good. Just accept. We strive, we do the best we can, but we're not attached to the outcome. So when I say suffering is the spirit of growth, it just means when everything is all right, you don't grow.
Yep. Yep. Yes. Yes. We are kind of, cushioned in that comfortable zone that everything is fine. I need not do any extra effort here.
Mm.
Um, and I think something that you mentioned initially, Bob, it all comes down to taking that step forward, making that choice,
Mm.
sitting with that suffering or getting onto that growth. Like, how can I grow from this? I think
Yeah.
that exactly is the choice, which I think decides the forward course of path.
Yes, I have quite a number of what I call personal cliches. One of them is there is no such thing as a mistake, fault, or defect. There are only learning opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can I learn from this? The past chess world champion said, "The games you lose are the most useful."
Mm.
Same point. When you've won a game, you've won a game. But when you lose a game, you can examine it and see why, and then do better next time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I must really thank you, because this is the nuance, people skip. Like, pain is not a leadership program. Pain is pain. But the growth part, that is optional, and it's sometimes unavailable for a while.
Hmm. People can go backward.
Yeah.
I know people who were really wise and wonderful as young people. then they reacted to suffering by going backward, being resentful, turning to alcohol, horrible stuff. I wish I could ban it from earth. I've seen it do so much damage. Or to, street drugs, or developing illnesses as a response to emotional distress, going backward. So it's a choice, as you say.
Yeah, yeah. And Bob, last core question. A lot of grief is love with nowhere to land. What did you do with the love you still have for your daughter?
Well, it'll never stop. And the title of my book is The Hole in Your Life, because she has most definitely left a big hole in my life. Or several, really. But it's okay. For one thing, I've got this problem that I have a scientific training, so I don't believe anything. I go with the evidence. And the evidence is very strong that we live before we're born, and we live and we continue after we die. And we go round and round, life after life. And we can, as I said, go backwards and forwards. But on the average, over many lives, and sometimes even in just one life, we can we inevitably grow. That's why my fictionalized autobiography is called Ascending Spiral. So it's fictionalized to protect the guilty. I don't want to be sued. But it is actually my life story, or more exactly my life's story. But at my blog, I have 3 posts that together summarize the evidence for reincarnation. It's pretty powerful. And so I know that my daughter is still around. In fact, she's demonstrated it. At the time of her medically estimated death, her mother and her brother, separated by some 2,000 kilometers, both felt somebody hug them. And it was so vivid for my wife that she woke up from it and looked around, and there was no person hugging her. And one of her best friends is a TV addict. And when he visited her in palliative care, she said, "I'm going to turn your TV off." And when he went home from her memorial service, which was a purple party, because purple was her favorite color, he went home, turned on the TV, it switched off. He turned it on, it switched off. About 6 times before he gave up. As I said, she had a sense of humor, poor thing. She told us that she was going to turn her washing water purple. You see, because Australia is the driest continent, we save the output of a washing machine in a couple of bins and use it to water the garden. It's good exercise, bucketing water. And the first time we did a wash after her death, the water that came out was a bright iridescent pink. Beetroot juice, if you dilute it with a lot of water, that color. And there was a white tablecloth in the wash, and there was no stain on it. It was just her showing that she was still around.
Yeah.
And so I don't grieve for her because I know she's okay. And I have resolved my grief. I've worked on it. And, after all, I've helped so many other people do so that, I do have some expertise. And so I have a personal story of how I applied it and how you can apply it.
Mm.
And in the unlikely event that there's nothing wrong in your life, it may be a good time to read my book because you can take it in better.
Yeah, it is needed. It is needed. Well, and I also believe that um, this is such a huge part of emotional maturity because, uh, I mean, whatever the number of years, I felt like, I mean, that, I mean, this is such a huge revelation for me, something which I could not understand or did not put my effort to understand. I'm now trying to have a good understanding, one of my biggest drawback and something that my father always has, been telling me right from my childhood is that I tend to get instantly angry. Uh, and if someone constructively also criticizes me, that kind of haunts me for days and months and years, not from the point of resentment on the person, but kind of puts me into that loop, never ending loop of judgment and, always, yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, cursing myself. Um, and through some of the most dreaded situations where I have dealt with emotions of betrayal, um, or maybe or being in a dangerous situation caused by a person intentionally or unintentionally, some of the huge major life changing events. I believe that I am in process of um, not controlling, but being intentional when I should show emotions and when I shouldn't. Like, if I'm very happy, I need not tell everyone that I'm very happy. I should enjoy that happiness first with myself. And maybe I can feel happy if I'm speaking to someone, let's say a cashier or, just a stranger, maybe sometimes. Or maybe sometimes how I'm forgiving myself because I know that, yes, I've done this mistake, but it's not the end of the life. So, yeah, just learn from it and move forward.
Okay. Well, the way to handle anger is first of all to accept it.
Yes.
Then take a deep breath, count to 3 in your mind, and then react. Form that habit. And it is okay to feel angry.
Yes.
It is a power. Anger is a power. It energizes you.
Yes.
It makes you more effective. It's okay.
Yes.
And strangely, when you can accept it, when you make the new habit of accepting it and reacting in a controlled way, you will reduce it. It'll go away.
Yes.
So the way to tame the tiger is not to shoot it, but to scratch behind his ears.
Absolutely. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So if listeners they would like to, um, definitely, I would encourage all of them. But just for the listeners, if you can share how they can read your book, connect with you, read your blogs, explore more around this, how they can do that.
Well, as I said, my blog is bobbing around or bobridge18.wordpress.com. And anybody who subscribes to it has earned a free electronic book, any one of my books. And if you send me proof of purchase of any of my books, there's a contacts page at my blog, so you can send a private message there. And a review of the book counts as proof of purchase. Then again, you've earned a free electronic book, which will be one of my other books, unless you want the same one twice. Not many people would do that, would they?
They would. Yeah. I hope.
The same one twice? I would prefer a different book.
Okay.
Mm.
So listeners, what I'm gonna do there is have all the links, all the details mentioned in the show notes, and I'll especially also put the link where you can read the first chapter of the book, um, The Whole in Your Life, Grief and Bereavement. You can know more about Bob's daughter in there, and just refer to the show notes along with this episode. And as we wrap up, this has been such a kind of an emotional um, conversation for me, listeners. And if this topic hit your chest a little, I'm with you. And I want you to remember, growth is not mandatory. Grief is not a test or an exam you pass. It is a landscape that you learn to live in. And Bob, I couldn't thank you enough because you really showed up with honesty, humor, sharp edges, zero performative inspiration. And I think weirdly that is comforting. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure and honor for chatting with a nice young lady.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And listeners, if you want to take one next step after this episode, let's keep it small and doable. Text or call one safe person. Um, I'm having a hard day. Or take a walk without your phone for 10 minutes. Or write one sentence you wish someone would say to you. And then read it back like it counts. Until then, this is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm Sana. And if this conversation helped, share it with someone who needs a steady voice today. And if you are in deep pain, please reach out to a mental health professional or someone that you trust in your real life. I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you.